Hi everyone, welcome back to Dimitra's Dishes. So today I'm going to teach you a recipe that's been really requested for a long time now. It's a pinwheel version of baklava called σαραγλί, and it's pretty much the same flavor like baklava, except they're little individual bite-sized ones, which makes it really nice and easy, especially if you're making it for a big get-together or like a party, because this recipe makes a lot of baklava. So let me take you over the ingredients. We're going to begin by making the syrup because you want to make sure that your syrup is cold, so that way when your baklava pinwheels come out of the oven, you want hot baklava and cold syrup always, otherwise you'll get a soggy mess. So we're going to add our sugar to the saucepan, the water, and an orange. I just cut half an orange and I'm putting it in here, and I'm going to turn the heat on high. And the last ingredient for our syrup is our honey, and I'm just going to add that completely at the end when this is totally dissolved, because I want to keep that nice floral flavor that the honey has. And you can only do that if you add it in the end. So I'm going to bring this to a boil and make sure the sugar dissolves, and I'm just going to add my honey to it. In the meantime, let's go over the rest of the ingredients. So now we're going to need some cinnamon, of course. Phyllo dough. Now the thing with phyllo dough, it comes in your freezer section. You want to make sure that it's thawed out completely by putting it in your refrigerator overnight. So keep it in your refrigerator overnight, and then before you're ready to work with it, take it out a couple of hours ahead of time. So take it out in the morning and let it completely be at room temperature. That'll make it really easy to work with. Let me get rid of these things. Now this recipe uses a pound of butter. That's a lot of butter, but we're making a lot of baklava. So I'm going to put this in my little saucepan over here so it can start melting. Let that melt first, then we'll add the rest. Okay, and then we're going to need our nuts. Now for my baklava, I love to use ground almonds and ground walnuts, but you can use whatever you want. You can, as long as you have 4 cups of finely ground nuts, you can mix pistachios, hazelnuts. You could even do some sesame seeds in there. That's really popular in Greece. You can do all almonds, all walnuts, whatever you like. It's your baklava, so make it however you like to eat it. And then the spices. We need a tiny bit of salt, just a little bit. A lot of cinnamon and cloves. These are the characteristic flavors of most Greek desserts, especially the siropiasta, which is basically the syrupy desserts like this one. In Greece, it's basically like very cinnamony and very warm and really, really delicious. That's all you need, that's it. But really important to have 2 damp, clean kitchen towels while you're working with phyllo dough, because the phyllo dough has no fat in it, and it's very, very fine and thin, and it begins to crumble if you don't keep it moist. So really important to have 2 kitchen towels on hand. You're going to need a 9 by 13 inch baking dish, and you want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and then we're just going to start as soon as our syrup is ready. Okay, so my syrup has come to a boil, and all of the sugar has dissolved. Now if you notice some little black specks in here, that's from the vanilla bean that I keep in my sugar, so it gives a nice flavor. Those are just specks of vanilla bean. Now I'm going to turn off the heat, because I don't want this to evaporate at all. I'm going to need all of this syrup, and I'm just going to add a half a cup of Greek honey. And I'm going to give it a stir. And I'm just going to leave this aside so I can make sure it's completely cool. Take it off the heat. And my butter is also completely melted. Let me show you. And now we're going to start putting everything together. Alright, so we're just going to combine our nuts in a big bowl with our spices and the salt. We're just going to give it a nice mix until everything is completely combined. And now we're just going to open up our phyllo, and you want to kind of make a nice little assembly line so that way everything is easy and transported from your work surface into your baking tray. There are just a few steps, but they're quick and easy. If you follow all of the tips, this will be so easy to put together. It's unbelievable. If you could just smell this, the cinnamon and the ground cloves just smell incredible. We're going to open up our phyllo dough. We're just going to lay it flat on our cutting board like this. Okay, so you can keep a baking tray next to you and put all of your phyllo dough in it, because we're going to be working with 4 layers at a time. And the layers that you're not working with, you want to make sure that they're covered with a damp towel. But first I'm going to take my 4 layers. And lay them on my board. And then I'm going to cover these layers over here with a very slightly dampened kitchen towel. Like that. That's going to ensure that they don't start crumbling and falling apart. Now traditionally you have to you have to butter every single layer of baklava, but this I promise you is foolproof. You can't mess this up. You don't butter each layer. You just butter the top layer that's going to hold the nuts on it. And it's going to make for a very crispy and buttery and delicious baklava. Just watch, because in the end we're just going to pour the rest of the butter on top. And you just want to very lightly butter. I think I even overdid it. Just like that. And you want to take about 3/4 cups of your mixture. And just plop it on top like that. And just spread it out. And then you just want to lightly roll it. You don't want to compact it too much and do it tight. Just roll it up like this into a long cylinder, and then just place it in your baking dish. So when we're done making 5 of these, then they'll be ready to cut into pinwheels. And I'm going to cover this with my other damp towel, and I'm going to continue the same process, taking 4 layers at a time. So I have about 3 sheets left over. Each box is different. Some sheets are a little bit thinner or thicker than others. So before you start, count your sheets, and you can just roll up and divide it by 5. So you can have 5 cylinders. So if there are like 25 sheets, just use 5 sheets for each of your cylinders. It doesn't really matter, so you don't have leftover like I just did. Now you want to just cut off the edges, and we're going to save these. We're not going to waste them. They're going to go in there. But I'll show you a cool trick that I have. So we're going to cut each cylinder in about 12 pinwheels. We're going to cut 12 pinwheels out of it, and they're going to be about an inch and a half wide. But you don't need to take out a ruler. You can just take a big kitchen cutting knife, and you can just measure by the width of the top part of it. That's a good way of doing it. And you want to make sure it's sharp. And then you want to transfer them carefully into your baking dish. And you don't want to squish these together. You want them to have a little bit of room, so that way when they bake, they'll be nice and golden brown all around. So I'm putting my final pinwheels in, and it doesn't matter if they start to slightly like open up and loosen up, that's fine. They're going to all come together in here. I'm going to take all of these edges, because we don't want to waste these. These are going to taste delicious. Now I'm going to take all of this butter, and I'm going to pour it, making sure that it goes on top of each and every one of my pinwheels. And this step makes your life so much easier, not having to butter each and every single layer. You don't want to waste any of this butter. I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees, and I'm just going to pop these in there for about an hour. Some ovens take 45 minutes. Mine usually takes about an hour. They have to be totally golden, a nice beautiful golden brown, and I'll show you when they come out, what they're supposed to look like. Okay, so the baklava came out of the oven, and it took well over an hour to really be ready. It took actually an hour and almost 15 minutes. So it's important that you monitor it, okay? It's actually baklava pinwheels, but really it's the same thing. Individual little bite-sized baklavas. Okay, so it took an hour and 15 minutes. It depends on your oven. Some ovens, if I were to cook this at the restaurant, that oven is a convection oven, and it's really more powerful than this one, so sometimes it takes 45 minutes. You just have to look at the color, and if you come up close, I'll show you what the color looks like. We're going for a deep golden brown like this, because you want to make sure that it's cooked all the way through, so that way it's not soggy. And then let's take out the orange from our syrup. I use an orange. If you don't have orange, you can use lemon, really whatever citrus you like. It just freshens up the sauce. And the most important thing is you want to make sure that your baklava is very hot, straight out the oven, and your syrup is completely cool. If you can somehow put it over ice and make it cold, that's even better. Listen to the sound. That is what you want to hear. Pour the syrup completely over the baklava. Just like that. And then you want to sprinkle it with some more cinnamon. So ideally you really want to cook this the night before you serve it, because you want it to really absorb all of the syrup and really like set and be the most fantastic dessert that you've ever served. This, I'm telling you, you have to give it a try. It comes together so simple. Look, you get so many servings in one dish. It's pretty economical. You kind of put whatever nuts you want in it, kind of like whatever floats your boat, whatever you like, put it in there. But make sure you give it a try. I'm just going to pull one out, even though it's not time, but have we met? This baklava is one of my favorite desserts. And I know it's super sweet. There's a lot of butter in it. There's a lot of sugar and honey in it. But really all you need when you're eating baklava is one little piece, and it hits that sweet spot that that sweet craving that you are looking for. And I'm just going to take one out, even though really I should be a good girl and wait at least a few hours, but it's too good. Get some more of this honey syrup, and I will show you up close what it looks like. So you see it's cooked all the way around, and of course the center pieces will be more lighter and less crispy than the corners, but that's perfectly fine. You just want to make sure that it's cooked all the way through and it's nice and golden, because you want this to be crispy. You do not want soggy baklava. Now if you were to use hot syrup over hot baklava or cold syrup over a cold baklava, it would be soggy or not right. So you just want to make sure that combination is correct. And let me give it a try. This is delicious. This transports me back to Greece in the summertime. I can smell all the scents that I smell in the bakeries there, because every bakery has so many different shapes and versions of this baklava pinwheel. Make sure to give it a try. Post your pics and share them with me on Facebook, and your comments down below. Get the recipe with the exact measurements on my website, www.dimitrasdishes.com, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.